Honourable members, thank you for your questions. So, on the question on different levels, on national level versus regional level, program will be available also for regional levels, but it has to be requested by the member state. But basically, if there is a request, say for some, regional reforms or for some policy areas which are competence of regions or local governments, it's also possible to request this through the member state. So you asked for post-2020 period. Well, at this stage, Commission has not prepared any specific proposals on post-2020, so probably this question is premature. I may imagine this being also in post-2020, but by that time, hopefully, we'll have some first experiences to assess before drafting more detailed proposals for post-2020. Then there was a question on SRSP and macroeconomic conditionality. There I would stress that SRSP does not involve any change in a present articulation of ESIF framework in relation to the macroeconomic conditionality. So nothing changes in the relation to the provisions linked to the macroeconomic conditionalities that may have been included by member states in their national operational programs. Then on questions on link between country-specific recommendations, technical assistance, and flexibility. Well, this flexibility is certainly there in a sense that member states chooses which area it needs its technical assistance. So it's not predetermined by country-specific recommendations. In a sense, if there are urgent needs which are still in line with the priorities, including priorities of the European Union, it's also possible to address through this program if member state chooses so. Well, then there are some questions which is a bit a matter of judgment. I was already referring in a previous round, like questions in encroaching in other policies or mixes. Well, it's a bit of a matter of judgment. You can call it mixing up, you can call it synergies. I mean, depends how you want to put. But indeed, there is some cross-policy nature of this proposal, and trying to really address the issues to support the reforms, provide assistance to the member states, and look how support can be driven from different policies to solve the problem. Then questions were asked for technical support specifically to Greece and performance of Task Force for Greece. I had been mentioning this example already in a previous round, for example, on the absorption of EU funds, where with the support of Task Force for Greece, Greece has substantially, very substantially improved its EU funds absorption. And there are other areas where we are currently providing technical assistance, either through the Commission or by coordinating the work of experts or different international experts from the member states or different national administration, would be on tax collection or public administration, or by the way, we're providing through SRSS intensive technical assistance also now dealing with the refugee crisis. So it can indeed be many policy areas. As regards specifically the programming period 2014-2020, the focus of our assistance is currently the best use of funds and implementation of ex-ante conditionality, so that Greece really can get down to using of EU funds. Then there was a question on heading 5. Well, Commission's assessment is that we cannot use heading 5 because SRSP is a program with operational characteristics, support for member states for structural reforms, and therefore should not be financed from heading 5. However, staff managing the program will be financed by heading 5 as part of administrative functioning of EU institutions. Then we say if there are some questions on which member states would volunteer to this, well, it must be said this technical assistance is already extensively used by Greece and Cyprus, but that may be the historical precondition of SRSS being set up, among other things, on the basis of Task Force of Greece and Support Group for Cyprus. But we are currently in discussions with several other member states which have expressed their interest. So to summarize, yes, there are member states which are interested and willing to use this possibility. Then there was, so to say, the opposite question based on which criteria you would choose the countries which would get this support. Well, presumably if demand exceeds supply. And in this case, Commission would assess it on the number of criteria, on the urgency and depth of the challenges Member States is facing, support needs by specific policy area, analysis of socio-economic indicators, and general administrative capacity of the Member State. Of course, then we assess and help those member states, simply put, which most needs. Then the question on would the countries or wouldn't the countries lose any EU funds? I think I made it very clear already in introductory statements. The answer is no, this does not touch upon the national envelopes of the member states. So member states are not losing any EU funds. And then is it technical assistance or political guidance? Well, I would say it is a technical assistance, and sometimes it can get very, so to say, to the very deep technical level. That's our experience exactly also in a case of Greece. And then the question, can this support reforms freely chosen by the countries, depending on the democratic choices and so on? The answer is yes, but as long as they don't contradict common EU policies or priorities. That should be clear. But indeed, there is a large degree of flexibility for which reforms or policy areas member state may wish to request assistance. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Commissioner.